how do you create a social marketing plan? What is a social marketing plan? How is it different than just posting about my own stuff? How do I ensure that what I'm doing is actually helpful? I got you. Today I'm going to walk you through this very simple 9-step process to creating a social marketing plan. Number 1, decide how often you're going to show up. Are you going to do twice a week? 4 times a week? 10 times a week? What does that look like? 2, when are you going to show up? Are you going to do Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays? Are you going to do daily? 3, what content are you actually going to make? Are you going to do Reels, TikToks, Shorts? Are you going to do one short form video and spread it out among multiple platforms? Are you going to do carousel posts and tweets, or what does that look like for you? 4, and this is the piece that everybody forgets about and drives me freaking nuts. Decide when you're going to create the content. Either you're batching 3 months of content in advance, which is so hard, but so worth it once it's all done. Are you gonna be doing it weekly? Are you doing it in real time, day by day? I don't recommend that, but you do you. When are you gonna actually create the content? So many people take the time creating these really intricate full plans, but they don't actually decide when the content's gonna get made. So then that way the plan just goes by the wayside because the content never actually got created. Don't skip that part. And number 5, now that you know how often you're gonna show up, when you're gonna show up, the type of content that you're going to make when you show up, and you know when you're going to get the content created, the next step is to just execute the plan for 90 days. I know that feels like forever, but it goes by very fast. The reason why I want you to stick to this for 90 days is because social media changes all the time. And really, there are times where you might not see real results until 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks down the line. Having a 90-day time period ensures that you're gonna have real data to look back on to see what worked, what didn't, and how you can make it better in the future. You cannot execute a plan for 2 weeks and go, oh, did this work? That's just not enough time to get real solid data. You need to ensure that you're sticking to this for 90 days. And if the idea of sticking to something for 90 days feels really overwhelming for you, come join us inside the Marketing Nerds. This is my free Facebook group with other small business owners who are working towards the same goals you are of marketing your business. Go into the group and go find an accountability partner. Connect with them, find somebody, become little business buddies, and keep yourself accountable to your 90-day plan. Once you've executed this plan for 90 days, the next step is to begin to look back on all of that content that you created and the data that came with it. Look at what posts did well. Look at what posts didn't do well. Look at the engagement rate. Look at how many shares something got. Look at what really picked up and what really didn't do anything. Step 7, once you've kind of reviewed the data, begin to look a little bit closer. Try to figure out what worked, what didn't, and why. You might not always have an exact why as to something didn't work. Sometimes you can find patterns and you can go, oh, this call to action worked really well and this one didn't. I'm gonna do more posts with this call to action. But it's not always that black and white. There are times where you're not entirely sure why something picked up and something else didn't. This is where you've got to take a guess. You could say maybe it's because this photo was more scroll stopping. Maybe the caption was more hard hitting. Maybe this one was shorter and people ended up clicking the link in my bio. Maybe this, maybe that. You've got to come up with a reason and then you have to test that reason. You take that why and then you take all of this information, you adjust your plan, which is step 8, you adjust your plan for the next 90 days, and then step 9 is just to repeat the whole process. It feels like a lot, but really the only thing that you need to do is focus on steps 1 through 5 every 90 days. And really step number 5 is to execute the plan for 90 days. So 1 through 4 is really all you need in order to execute this and get good data. This is an excellent way to get started because it is simple. It is something that you can create and stick to. You can easily put this into a content calendar. You can batch it out, and this is going to help you get the data that you need. It's really important to figure out what works for you and your audience. As a marketer, I can tell you what has worked for me, for my clients. I can look at your profile and I can give you suggestions, but at the end of the day, the only way to know what works for you and your audience is to put content out. I have multiple social media management clients and none of them have the exact same strategy because they all have different audiences, they all have different capabilities, they all have different desires, and all of those things change what their strategy looks like. All of these strategies shift and change over time as we get that audience feedback data. It is incredibly important for you to show up in this way and be willing to put out content that might not be perfect in order to get that data. Something that you think your people will just hate might be the thing to actually pop off. The thing that you think your people were gonna love, they're like, nah, that's kind of boring. It doesn't mean anything about you, and it doesn't mean that you suck. It doesn't mean that you're wrong. It's just like, oh, okay, cool. Now I have more data and I can make better guesses. I can make better decisions now that I have data to back it up. If this is your very first time creating a social marketing strategy, do not overthink this. Let it be simple. Just make decisions. Look at what you can put out. Look at your capacity. If you're wondering how often you should post, my rule of thumb is to post as often as you can, consistently, without burning out. Typically, the more often you post, the better results that you'll get. However, you want to ensure that you are being consistent at it. If you can post 10 TikToks a day for 3 days, but then you can't ever come back to it because it's just too much, that's a complete waste of your time. But if you can post 3 TikToks a day, 4 days a week, that's a really great place to start, or even 3 days a week. Now you have a consistent plan to move forward on in those 90 days. And you also want to ensure that you're not going to burn out. Chances are you have a life outside of your business, outside of social media marketing. You've got kids to take care of, a job to go do, a house to run. You've got other responsibilities and you can't dedicate your entire life to content creation. If you can, I am so jealous of you and I'm trying to be you. But for the majority of us, we're not there yet. You need to ensure that the content schedule you're creating is not going to cause you to burn out. And if this is your first time creating a social marketing plan, this is a great place to find out. Say, okay, I'm gonna post 1 TikTok a day for the next 90 days. And then at the end of the 90 days, you can see, did this work? Did it not? Did it fit into my life? Did I feel burnt out? Did I want to do more? Did it really unlock a creative spark? My sweet spot, usually, depending on how insane my life is, usually about 3 TikToks a day. More than that is when I get a little bit overwhelmed, and less than that, I just feel bored because I want to put out more content. I only know that after years of getting it very, very wrong. Don't overthink this, just create your plan. Something else to keep in mind, now that you have the social marketing plan, you need to understand that all of your content needs to lead to your goals. You need to ensure that you're not posting just for the sake of posting. You are a business owner. You need to ensure that all of your content is leading towards something, leading toward that next right step. What does that look like for you? The first question to ask yourself is, what does success mean to you? Is it a certain number of YouTube subscribers? Is it a certain number of Instagram followers? Is it sales, email subscribers? Is it a conversion rate? What does success look like for you? All of your content should be leaning towards that success, what that goal is. There's no right or wrong, but you want to make sure that it's specific. Don't tell me you want to retire your husband or you want more Instagram followers. Tell me that you want to make $100,000. Tell me that you want to get to 5,000 Instagram followers. Be very specific because you need to ensure that you have a goal to go after, because if not, if you're just chasing a never-ending goalpost, it's gonna be a never-ending goalpost and you're never going to arrive. It's just gonna constantly feel like this thing that you're chasing. The second thing, once you have that goal in mind, is to ask yourself, who is your ideal person? Who is the person waiting for you to show up so they can purchase your product? You need to have that person in mind so all of that content can be speaking to them. You want them to take action so you can get towards your goal. If you don't know who you're speaking to, it's gonna be really hard. If, again, this is your first time, don't stress about this, just start creating content and it'll become easier as you go. You might not have a super specific idea on who your ideal person yet, and that's okay. Now that you know who your ideal person is and you know your goal, what is the type of content that they want to see? Do they want to see something that's inspiring? Do they want to get educated? Do they want something that's going to make them laugh? This is important to know so you can create the content that resonates with them. Don't overthink this, but maybe spend 5-10 minutes journaling on some of these questions today and see if it helps you. But don't overthink this, okay? This simple marketing plan is simple for a reason. Sometimes it feels too simple to work, but I promise you that's just not true. But now that you have your super simple marketing plan, the next step is to figure out how to take all of this and apply it to a content calendar. While many people think that this is incredibly overwhelming, I promise you it's actually quite simple. In fact, I'll show you how to do that and follow my system right here.